Thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle Malte for the Los Angeles Times. I'm joined by Paresh Dave and Andrea Chang. Apple just unveiled some new iPads as expected and some other fun features, and we want to talk with Paresh and Andrea to get what exactly this all means and how excited people might be about it and what we didn't see. So Andrea and Paresh, jump on in there. What do you think of the new? Tell us a little bit about the iPad Air 2. Paresh?
Well, the new iPad, like most Apple products, faster, thinner, the usual. They showed it off against a pencil, and it's thinner than a number two pencil, which is kind of cool. And it comes with a camera, a front rear camera that's basically as powerful as the camera on the iPhone 6, which is pretty impressive.
Andrea, what else did you pick up on iPad 2 or Air 2? Sorry.
For me, honestly, Michelle, it was the things that we didn't see today. I think a lot of people were really hoping to see a larger iPad. We've already got these new big iPhones from last month, and there's definitely a demand for a 12.9-inch iPad. And it's kind of funny. I mean, a few weeks ago we heard that Apple would announce really big iPads at this event, and then in the last few days it seemed like no, that's delayed until next year, which is unfortunate, especially because Apple has seen its iPad sales actually decline year over year for the last 2 quarters. So that's actually somewhat of a serious problem for Apple.
Now I wonder, is what they announced enough to make people excited? I mean, we've got some new cameras, it's thinner. Okay. Is that enough, Paresh?
I don't think it's worth
We've lost Paresh.
I can take it. Yeah, I can definitely take that. Well, what I was going to say is, in terms of making people excited, it's sort of a tough call. I mean, this is a very saturated market. A lot of people already own tablets, and we've seen people don't really need a new tablet as frequently as they want a new phone. So we're seeing what's called refresh rates a lot longer than we would see for phones. And then everything we saw today seemed kind of like what in the industry jargon is incremental upgrades, little upgrades here and there, nothing particularly groundbreaking. I think it'll entice some people to go out and buy, but I don't really know if the majority of people are going to think like, okay, great, now it's thinner than a pencil and now I can get it in gold, so let me rush out and buy that as soon as I can.
Do you think we're going to see, both of you, either of you, do you think we're going to see people holding up their iPads, more people holding up their iPads to take pictures now that it's got a stronger, 8-megapixel camera?
It seems like that may unfortunately be the case, which is sad, because I don't think anyone likes to see someone else hold up an iPad in public and take a photo. And I think during the event I was laughing because someone I follow mentioned that iPads are essentially the fanny pack of the digital era. Ooh. And when you hold it up, you just look kind of silly. But unfortunately, I think we're going to see that a lot more because the camera is a lot better than on previous versions.
Let's hear a little from Paresh. Paresh, were you disappointed that we didn't hear any Apple TV, we didn't hear anything about a bigger iPad or a launch date for Apple Watch?
Well, I wasn't necessarily expecting a date for Apple Watch. Apple's clearly still trying to figure out how to go about manufacturing a lot of them. But there was talk about new MacBooks potentially, with Retina display that would be moved. But it didn't look like Apple was going to get enough ready in time for the holiday rush when they have to fill lots and lots of orders. So they delayed that. And yeah, Apple TV's sort of just been laying out there for a couple of years now, and Apple hasn't been doing much other than a couple weeks ago there was a little redesign to the look of it on old Apple TVs, but nothing in the hardware and sort of the feature set from Apple TV.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk quickly about the refresh to the iMac and the Mac Mini. So the iMac has a stronger display. It's Retina 5K. Can you talk a little bit about that, Paresh?
It's pretty crazy that it has 7 times more pixels than a sort of typical HD television, and about 4 times more than the old 27-inch iMac. But in creating a really really nice display in what Apple calls the world's highest resolution display, they also raised the price a bunch, going from about 1800-ish to 2500-ish. But it's pretty powerful, and if you are someone in sort of the editing, movie editing business or something along where you're doing lots of heavy video work, it's definitely a must-have.
Might this portend something interesting for Apple TV if that actually does come to fruition?
Well, there's been talk about, will Apple create an actual television or something along those lines. This clearly shows that they're thinking about cinema and how to get internet streaming television and make it look pretty, and they clearly have the hardware ready for that.
They did have some announcements about software as well, and I know a number of us who have the devices have been eagerly awaiting the operating system update for our MacBooks. So Yosemite is coming. It's here today, right? And it's free, obviously. And then there's also an update for iOS 8. Andrea, what comes with that one?
Michelle, I actually want to throw this one to Presh because I was not totally listening on that end.
Okay, Paresh.
I'm just gonna admit it.
iOS 8 is sort of like Andrew was saying earlier, an incremental upgrade based on the big refresh they did on the design of iOS last year. So it comes with a bunch of little sort of productivity improvements. But the big thing that changes today with the upgrade to Yosemite is now you can basically start a phone call on your computer and then continue it on your iPhone as you're leaving the office, or you can do the reverse. Or if you're editing, say, a PowerPoint, not a PowerPoint, an iWork slide on your phone, then you can sort of pick up your iPad, or you can even go to your laptop or your iMac, and that exact slide will be ready to go on Keynote. So it's sort of this continuity feature, as they call it, that across devices it completely syncs up, which is going to be a huge time saver, you'd think, for a lot of people.
Continuity certainly was one of those things that enticed me. Now, for iPhone and iPad users, iOS 8.1 is going to come out on Monday, and what do we think about Apple Pay? It's launching Monday as well. Is that likely to be received with excitement? Is it maybe expected to be a little glitchy at the beginning?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it were glitchy in the beginning, because lately with Apple everything has been, unfortunately. But in terms of whether or not people use it, I think that there is a lot of interest there. This is obviously, I don't think Tim Cook was making it up when he says people are frustrated by the typical traditional buying experience of rooting around in your purse or your wallet or whatever for credit cards or cash, having to show ID, all of that stuff. I think the main issue right now is whether or not people feel comfortable with the security of paying for something with their phone. That remains to be seen, but obviously a lot of companies have jumped in and they want to be part of the first wave of merchants that will accept these payments. So we know, what is it? Subway, Petco, Staples, Radio Shack, Bloomingdale's, Walgreens. So obviously, yep, McDonald's. So a lot of really, really, really big retailers are in, and we'll see how it goes. I think I'm definitely going to try it out on Monday.
I'm going to give it a go
on the security. I was going to say, on the security end, at least on the back end part of it, a lot of cybersecurity experts have come out and said that it's the most secure way to pay that's sort of ever been created, because there's that second step where you have to match your fingertip up, and then on the back end, the retailer never sees your credit card number, so the chances of sort of being hacked and what's been happening in the news the last 2 years, the chances are significantly diminished. From what we've heard so far and what Apple's disclosed, is that it's really way more secure.
Yeah.
But when glitches come about, could change everything.
Yeah. I think part of it too is even if it is really secure, it's convincing consumers that that really is the case, is making them believe it. And lately, and I think people might be conflating these two issues, but for whatever reason, it seems like a lot of everyday users of Apple products, ever since the whole celebrity photo hack, they've been mentioning that, like, why would I give over my financial details to Apple when I don't even really trust them with my personal photos. And whether or not that's true, that unfortunately is the prevailing notion that's out there right now.
Well, that'll certainly be something that we watch here at latimes.com. And we'd like to hear from you. What do you think of the new products that were launched today or that were discussed today from Apple? Tweet us. You can tweet Andrea at @byAndreaChang. You can tweet Paresh at PEAR, what is it? PEARD 33.
Pair D33.
PEARD33. And you can follow us at LA Times on Twitter. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle Malte for the Los Angeles Times.
Thanks, Michelle.